I'm Rich Thomason. He's currently facing 3 charges, but U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro says that is likely just the beginning for 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen.
This was an attempted assassination of the President of the United States, with the defendant making clear what his intent was. And that intent was to bring down as many of the high-ranking cabinet officials as he could.
Saturday's chaotic encounter at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in D.C. resulted in shots being fired. Allen is charged with attempting to assassinate the president, transporting a firearm across state lines, and discharge of a firearm during a violent crime. An officer wearing a bullet-resistant vest was shot in the vest but is expected to recover. Secretary of State Rubio says preventing Iran from developing a nuclear weapon remains a core issue for the Trump administration. And that's why it appears the U.S. will reject an Iranian proposal to release its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz if the U.S. ends its blockade of Iranian ports. The White House says the president's national security team has discussed the offer, and Mr. Trump will be addressing it later. Pomp and circumstance later this morning as British royalty is welcomed to the White House.
King Charles III and Queen Camilla are being treated to a formal, elaborate South Lawn arrival ceremony with thousands of people in attendance to welcome them. The traditional military arrival will feature a 21-gun cannon salute and inspection of troops. President Trump and the King will then meet in the Oval Office. The royal visit comes amid strained relations between the President and Britain's Prime Minister over trade, NATO, and the Iran war. Greg Clugston, Washington.
On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are up 151 points, while the NASDAQ futures are down 180. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Looking for a great real estate agent? Someone who can help you sell your home fast and for top dollar? Go to ready.com, REDY.com. Because on Ready, agents will pay you just for the opportunity to sell your home. Yeah, on Ready, agents will pay you for your listing. Thousands of dollars up front just for a chance to sell your home. And it's easy. Just go to ready.com, enter your address, and when you want to sell. In just 48 hours, the best local agents are competing on Ready to be your agent with cash offers up front just to win your business. Hey, your listing is valuable. Don't give it away. Make those agents earn it. Get paid to pick your real estate agent. Go to ready.com or call 800-885-REDY. 800-885-READY.
Rescuers at the scene of a deadly train wreck have finished removing victims from a damaged rail car outside Indonesia's capital.
At least 14 people have been confirmed dead and dozens of others injured following a train collision at Bekasi Timur station just outside Jakarta on Monday evening. A long-distance train slammed into the back of a stationary commuter train, which had stopped after a taxi obstructed the tracks. Victims have been evacuated to nearby hospitals while rescue teams continue their efforts at the crash site. While all 240 passengers on the long-distance train survived, those at the rear of the commuter train suffered the full impact of the collision. Authorities have now launched an official investigation. Several train lines have been cancelled this morning as part of the railway is currently inaccessible.
The BBC's Lisa Tambunan. Greek authorities say several people have been wounded after a gunman opened fire at a Social Security office and a courthouse in central Athens. News and analysis, townhall.com. Multiple birth pregnancies may happen occasionally in some animals, but usually not to this degree.
A ewe at a farm in Vermont has given birth to 6 lambs, sextuplets and their mother, all doing very well, making the lamb windfall even more remarkable. The mother previously had quadruplets, and while a recent checkup indicated she would have 2 lambs this time, the farm's owner suspected more, and they were right. When the big day came, it was, one baby after another. Veterinarians say the sextuplets in sheep, very rare. Jason Walker reporting.
The national political spotlight shines on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as he pushes for a new congressional map in Florida. His proposal aims to give the Republicans 4 more seats, equivalent to the expected Democrat gains in Virginia. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Each of us is born with 30 trillion cells that make us. These cells determine how we feel, perform, sleep, focus, and how long we live. And to live our best life, all we have to do is feed our cells properly. But most supplements don't reach our cells, keeping us from reaching our full potential. Make every cell count with Healthy Cell. Founded with a mission to empower people to take control of their own health at the most fundamental level, the cell. Dr. Vincent Giampapa, world-renowned cell researcher and medical doctor, created supplements that work at the cellular level to support immune health, better sleep, sharper focus, and healthy aging. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com, HEALTHYCELL, and use code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Hey parents, plan an unforgettable summer. Send your kids to Rapidan Baptist Camp in Rochelle, Virginia. 1 week of nonstop fun and life-changing truth. Amazing preachers, friendly counselors, exciting activities. Ride an alpine coaster and zip line, a 250-foot water slide, and that's just the beginning. Junior camps for ages 7 to 12, teen camps for 13 to 18, 2-day Pee-wee camp with mom and dad for ages 4 to 8, and a brand new day camp option. Sign up today at camprapidan.com. That's camprapidan.com. Rapidan Baptist Camp, where faith and fun collide.
Folks, this is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea. I have recently turned 77 years old. I do not take prescription drugs. I have not had to take prescription drugs, and I attribute a lot of my good health to a product that I've been taking, which is the active ingredient in Soul Tea. It's a 22% concentration of theaflavin. We did clinical trials on it 25 years ago and found that it helped lower cholesterol. We have had many hundreds of letters and emails from customers telling us how it has helped them not only manage their cholesterol, but lower their triglycerides and help them on their blood pressure. And I can't tell you how much I attribute to Soul Tea for my good health at age 77. And I encourage you to go to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. And use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% off on your initial shipment of Soul Tea. And I promise you it will be a great help for your heart health. Thanks so much.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Happy Tuesday morning, listening fam. This is the John Fredericks Media Network. I'm Dan Hobgood. Time for a look at weather and sports. Let's start with Richmond, Virginia, where I am right now. The high today will be a pleasant 66 degrees, the low 52. Right now, the temperature is 44 degrees. The Flying Squirrels are headed to Altoona to start a series against that AA team. First pitch tonight at 6 o'clock. Moving on to the nation's capital, your high today in Washington will be 64 degrees with showers, a low of 52 and cloudy. Right now the temperature is 46 degrees. The Nats will begin a series against the Mets in New York, first pitch at 7:10. In Atlanta, the Braves are hosting the Tigers. beginning tonight. First pitch is at 7:15 p.m. Ought to be a very pleasant 63 degrees tonight for that. In the meantime, a high of 73 and sunny. Right now, the temperature in Atlanta is 58 degrees. In Philadelphia, the Phils begin a homestand against the Giants tonight. First pitch at 6:40. More on the Flyers in a moment. High today in Philadelphia of 66 degrees. Mario Lemieux. Low of 63. Right now, the temperature is a rather comfortable 58 degrees. In Morgantown, you're looking at a high today of 74 with thunder showers. A low of 58 degrees with storms. Right now, the temperature is 55 degrees and rainy. And my Yinzers, no matter how much some things change, some things just always stay the same. The Buccos dropped game 1 of a series to the Cards, 4-2, game 2 tonight. But on the plus side, in Hockeyland, we got ourselves a series. The Pens win game 5, 3-2. So that series is now 3-2. Game 6 coming up. Let's see if maybe the Pens can have an epic comeback. High today in Pittsburgh of 74 degrees with thunder showers, a low of 55 degrees. Right now, the temperature is 59 degrees and rainy in the 412. Bringing you today's weather and sports update is the Godzilla Wins radio show. For the best insight, analysis, and picks, watch and listen to Godzilla Wins Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 all across the John Fredericks Media Network. Plus, to get John's daily sports picks, go to GodzillaWins.com. Once again, that's GodzillaWins.com. This has been Dan Hobgood for the John Fredericks Media Network. Outside the Box with the Ox is next, followed by the John Fredericks Show. Stay tuned, everyone.
He's the voice of Virginia.
No, you can't. You have one of the worst
Philosophy professor Ingrid Vendrell Ferran's 4 types of hate model: normative, ideological, retributive, and malicious. Covering hate due to the belief that the target has violated norms, making them bad people, that they represent an ideological enemy to the hater, a desire to punish, seek vengeance upon someone for past wrongs, and simply to cause harm or suffering to the target by the hater. Checking all those boxes seem to be the Trump derangement syndrome haters, evidenced by that idiot brewing company owner promising free beer the day Trump is assassinated. Jimmy Kimmel saying Melania has a glow like an expectant widow, thinking everyone else is in agreement with them. After the White House press dinner shooting Saturday, the hate from the left ironically surged rather than uniting everybody, like they were disappointed that the self-titled friendly federal assassin didn't actually take out the president. Okay, how do these same people feel about how Trump reacted immediately after? He called for an end to the hate, and even, despite what seemed to be a security perimeter breakdown, praising the Secret Service and all whom were working security that night. To which the left had to absolutely, hate, because thinking outside the box, if this would have happened to one of their beloved political friends, instead of taking the high road, we'd hear from them,
next time be more careful, kids. It's because of you people. It's your fault. It's always your fault. You are not capable of handling to take orders from me.
Here outside the box with the Ox in the Eastern Time Zone and now in West Virginia on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
He's the voice of Virginia.
No, you can't. You have one of the worst voices I've ever heard in my life.
And the commander of common sense.
Fire at will, Commander.
Now back to the John Fredericks Show.
The John Fredericks Media Network and all the John Fredericks apps. Great to have you with us live in Washington, D.C. The King and Queen of England are in the White House. Big ceremonies today. Goes on all day. You can find it on Trump Nation News. Go to TrumpNationNews.com, TrumpNationNews.com, and you're ready to go. Right there, let's roll. I can't make the festivities today with him coming onto the South Lawn in the portico because I'm on my show. Gathering there is 9:30, but the CEO of the company, Ann Fredericks, she's going, so hopefully she'll get a picture with Queen Camilla and the King. So we'll see what happens. She's going to be covering that for me. Divide and Conquer, as we're here in D.C. Susan B. Anthony dinner. Well, that's Wednesday night. Going to that. Can't wait. One of the biggest pro-life dinners annually here in the Capitol. Now, yesterday at the press briefing with Caroline Levitt, and we got her clips coming up. Obviously, she talked about the state dinner with the King and Queen of England. This is a big day, no doubt about it. And look, she went on and blasted the fake news for the media for basically fomenting violence. Now, just so you know, this is her last presser. She is, I think, she's about 9 months pregnant, so she's due around the middle of May. So this was it for her. This was her final press conference. We thought her final was last week, but she really wanted to do Monday. She went on to say that, 3 assassinations in 2 years, and blasted a lot of the media. Actually, quotes from what they've said, a lot of the Democratic officials. But rather than me recap what she's done, I've got the clips now right here. I was there in the room, and it was very defiant. She was very defiant yesterday. Got to remember, she was sitting there at the table. She's 9 months pregnant, and there's gunfire going off, and she's got a baby she's carrying. She's got another little infant at home. I mean, this is not for the squeamish or the faint of heart. When you got gunfire going off, you have no idea where it's coming from. I also, in watching the video, and I'm just going to say this, I was surprised by how long it took for the Secret Service gunman to get there. It was like 7 or 8 seconds. But there was one guy that stood up on the dais right in front of the president to take a bullet for him. He just stood up right in front of him. I mean, that guy should be commended. I mean, he's doing his job, but it seemed like it took a little bit of a long time to get this done. And I think we need this ballroom. I'm going to go into that. But first, without further ado, Caroline Levitt, roll it.
Deanne. Thanks, Caroline. The president has talked about rescheduling the dinner within 30 days. Does he have a specific venue in mind? And would he consider hosting it at the White House?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a room big enough here at the White House, which is another point to be made, and the president is absolutely right. It's why the White House Ballroom project is not just a fun project for President Trump, like you will read in the media. It is actually critical for our national security that a larger, secure building on this complex, which is the most secure complex in the world, is built to accommodate not only large amounts of guests, but also the president, the vice president, members of the cabinet. The line of succession in this country should be able to gather freely in safety without the fear of threats or political violence. And the White House Ballroom will provide that. And so it's critical that we get this project done as quickly as possible.
This is disinformation and misinformation online. There will be bite-sized clips that will go viral to the point where there are Americans in this country that believe that what happened Saturday night was staged. How does this White House tackle that with social media companies out there, whether it's X, Facebook, Instagram? How do they work with these companies to make sure that doesn't get out of control?
It's certainly a good question, Aisha. I don't have tangible answers for you on what we're doing with social media companies, if anything at all. What I will say is it's very important to us that we get the truth and the facts about this case and any case out there as quickly as possible to dispel some of that crazy nonsense that you do see running rampant online. And I think the Department of Justice and the FBI thus far have done a good job of disseminating the truth and the facts about this alleged attempted assassin, the perpetrator in this case. And I understand he'll be arraigned in court very soon. You will all see that. And the Department of Justice will be giving a briefing and an update later today. So as far as we're concerned, just providing maximum transparency and hopefully people will believe the truth rather than the lies and the conspiracies that so often do go crazy on social media. And one more point. Saturday night served as yet another reminder of how important it is to fund the Department of Homeland Security. It is shameful that the United States Congress has kept this vital agency defunded for 73 days, the longest shutdown of a federal agency in U.S. history. The Secret Service is a vital component of DHS. It has been directly impacted by this reckless political gamesmanship. Everyone in this room who was there on Saturday night witnessed the heroes of Secret Service and federal law enforcement jump into action in the face of grave danger and uncertainty. Agents put their own lives in harm's way to protect the president, the First Lady, the Vice President, and members of the cabinet. One agent can be seen in video footage literally jumping onto the stage, not knowing where the attacker was or where the bullets were coming from at that point, to place his body in front of the President of the United States. These men and women are heroes. They perform their duties daily, and they have children and families too. And they do it despite the political turmoil surrounding their agency. Make no mistake, this defunding of DHS should be a national scandal. If Republicans defunded DHS and we saw another attempted assassination on a Democrat president, I would hope that the media coverage would be relentless and unforgiving, and I hope that it continues to be now. With the World Cup, America 250, the 2028 Olympics, and a presidential election all ahead, the Democrats' obstruction is placing an enormous and totally pointless burden on the Secret Service that can get more people killed. Enough is enough. There should be no further debate about this. Democrats need to do what President Trump has been calling on them to do for 73 days in a row and fund the Department of Homeland Security, period. This is a national emergency, and every member of Congress needs to put their country over party and get the Department of Homeland Security funded. And while we are blessed to have a fearless president, we should not live in a country where such constant fear of political violence permeates our society every single day. We can and we should have fierce disagreement in this country. As you all know, we disagree often, myself in this role and all of you in the news media. But those disagreements must remain peaceful. Debating, peaceful protesting, and voting are how we need to settle disagreements, not bullets. Nobody in recent years has faced more bullets and more violence than President Trump. This political violence stems from a systemic demonizing of him and his supporters by commentators, yes, by elected members of the Democrat Party, and even some in the media. This hateful and constant and violent rhetoric directed at President Trump day after day after day for 11 years has helped to legitimize this violence and bring us to this dark moment. Those who constantly falsely label and slander the president as a fascist, as a threat to democracy, and compare him to Hitler to score political points are fueling this kind of violence. The left-wing cult of hatred against the president and all of those who support him and work for him has gotten multiple people hurt and killed, and it almost did so again this weekend. When you read the manifesto of this shooter, ask yourselves, how different is the rhetoric from this almost assassin than what you read on social media and hear in various forums every single day? The answer, if you're being honest with yourself, is that there is no difference at all. Much of the manifesto of the would-be assassin is indistinguishable from the words that we hear daily from so many. For example, as the First Lady of the United States pointed out this morning, just 2 days prior to the shooting, ABC's late-night host Jimmy Kimmel disgustingly called First Lady Melania Trump an expectant widow. Who in their right minds says a wife would be glowing over the potential murder of her beloved husband? And having experienced what I did with the First Lady on Saturday night, I can tell you that she was anything but that. This kind of rhetoric about the president, the First Lady, and his supporters is completely deranged, and it's unbelievable that the American people are consuming it night after night after night. First and foremost, the president, the First Lady, and everyone in this White House are extraordinarily grateful to the brave law enforcement professionals who sprang into action to apprehend the would-be assassin and keep all of us safe. The president would especially like to express his gratitude to the men and women of the State Secret Service who acted with the utmost professionalism, courage, and sense of duty. This includes the heroic agent who took a bullet to the chest. Thankfully, he was saved by his bulletproof vest. Minutes after returning here to the White House to the Oval Office, despite fighting Secret Service to try to stay and keep the dinner going on Saturday, ahead of addressing you here in the briefing room, President Trump was intent on speaking to this brave agent to ensure he was okay. And the agent assured the president that he was. As you know, I was seated next to President Trump and the First Lady when the shots were fired before Secret Service swiftly moved us to safety backstage. The president's calm in the face of chaos, while yet another individual was trying to take his life, was really remarkable to witness, and it's something I will never forget. President Trump is fearless because he loves this country, and he is willing to put his own life on the line to deliver on the promises that he made to the American public who elected him here into the highest office in the land. As I told many of you on Friday afternoon, I thought that would be my last time taking your questions until after my maternity leave. But given the attempted assassination of the president and, quote, top Trump administration officials, as the depraved shooter noted in his manifesto at the White House Correspondents Association dinner on Saturday evening, I felt it was prudent to be here today to answer your questions and inform the American people about how the administration is responding to yet another attempt on President Trump's life. Saturday was supposed to be a joyful evening, celebrating free speech and the First Amendment with all of you, members of the press. Instead, the night was hijacked by a crazed anti-Trump individual who traveled across the country to assassinate the president and as many administration officials as possible. This is the third major assassination attempt against President Trump in 2 years. No other president in history has faced such repeated, serious attempts on his life.
It was an incredible presser yesterday that I was at. She's 9 months pregnant. There's a lot going on in her life. Levitt, Caroline, who I know a very long time. I endorsed her, as you know, for Congress at 25, at 22 years old, when everybody else went for the establishment candidate, including my friend Corey Lewandowski. So I know her a very long time. Played softball, played third base at a D2 school, got a scholarship. Tough young lady. You know, ran for Congress at 25, beat the establishment in a primary and came within 4% of being elected to U.S. Congress at 25 years old. So she's been around a little bit for her very young age, under 30. But more to the point yesterday is we've had 3 attempts on the president's life. And she nailed it. The rhetoric of the left, and I'm not talking about fringe podcasters. I'm talking about fake news media. It's unbelievable. Elected officials, they have normalized this behavior. And of course, the left immediately went to, gun violence. It has nothing to do with gun violence. This guy, who was a left-wing activist, No Kings Rally, Awaken organization, basically puts all this stuff on social media, puts out a manifesto. His family gets a hold of it. They call the police. I mean, his family knew this guy was unhinged. Nobody does anything. I assume he took Amtrak, takes guns across the country on a train because he can't put them on an airplane, doesn't want to drive in case he gets stopped and the guns are there. So he puts them on a train, travels across the country, takes 3 days, gets a room at the Hilton, no vetting, gets upstairs. How long he stayed there, we do not know, 2-3 days. And then comes within 100 yards of breaking through that door with a shotgun and killing God knows who, with multiple weapons. This is the 3rd attempt on the president's life. And, we can sit here and we can point fingers at each other. But the real finger goes to the left. This is just the reality of what happens when, like she said, for 11 years, you demonize someone, you call them a fascist, etc., and you normalize this behavior. This is why this country cannot be put back together. There is no melding. There is no kumbaya. There's no scotch and soda in the cloakroom with Reagan and Tip O'Neill. That's gone forever. I'm going to say it for the 1 millionth time, folks. There's a winner and there's a loser. And that's why we're playing all these coach rants, because this is what this has come down to now. If you want to save America, it comes down to one thing: putting more ballots in a box than they do. There's no policies anymore. None of this matters. Policies will matter in the Republican primaries. They'll matter, along with money going into the who's the nominee. But as soon as you get past that, there's no policy debates here. There's how many ballots can you stuff in a box? And we got to get in this ballot stuffing box game quick, because we're getting killed in mail-in ballots. I don't want to be a broken record, but this is where this thing is coming down to. You cannot put this country back together. The hate is incredible. The only way you put it back together is if they win and then we all capitulate, like John Thune. He can put it back together because they're feigned opposition, because they don't really want to fight you. They don't want to do anything. They just want to keep their jobs with their four-corner offices, their security detail, and yes, Senator, no, Senator, would you like a hot cup of coffee, a cold soft drink, or a pillow? That's basically what they do. The hell's Thune done? Susie Kelly, when I get back, phone lines are open, 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. This is also now an argument for the ballroom, which I'm going to get into. You're on the John Fredericks Media Network. And let me just say this. Susie Kelly, Powerful Moments coming up. I asked her to come on today to kind of address what is going on in this country from the standpoint that we're all looking at today. And I'm very confident that she's going to be able to do that. No doubt about it. So here we are once again, in the words of John 8:36, if the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. John 8:36. I'll be right back.
Hey folks, Al Green here for Sat Phone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need Sat Phone. Sat phones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your Sat phone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now.
The Cats and Cosby Show. It's the top news of the day.
This show knows things before anybody else is transmitting it. I said 5 minutes after we make a deal, the price of crude oils can go down $20 a barrel. Well, it went down $20 a barrel today. It did. 15 days from now, and if it looks like we have a good deal, it'll go down another $20 a barrel.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
And that's a good sign for us, obviously, and for the free world.
The Trump administration has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system, but there is only so much the government can do. And if we really want to make America healthy again, that starts at home, and that's where the Wellness Company comes in. The Wellness Company allows you to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits, which contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of these medications. The Wellness Company also offers a variety of health products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more, helping you stay healthy and live a longer, better, healthier life. Make America healthy again. That starts at home. So do your part and protect the health of you and your family. All you have to do is go to twc.health/Godzilla today and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10%. That's twc.health/Godzilla.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with longevity blend, an infused blend with anti-aging calcium alpha-ketoglutarate, which has been clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
I think it's ridiculous that you're even asking me that question. That you even say the word. I mean, I'm serious. I'm sick of it. I don't even know why we even bring up the dadgum word. How about some of these other teams out there that lose to unranked opponents all the time? That's our 33rd win versus unranked opponent. We ain't lost to anybody unranked since 2011, but I have to come to a press conference in 2015 and get asked that. And that's all media bull crap. I can tell you how they feel about it. They don't like it. It's a lack of respect. It's not doing your homework and paying attention to what reality is. Should not be asked that question.
Don't touch that dial. You found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle the truth.
And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
You are on the John Fredericks Media Network and all the John Fredericks radio apps. We've got Susie Kelly coming up in a minute. Let me just open here with look. I'm going to make a case for this ballroom now. I've kind of stayed out of this battle. I go there every day. I get it. But Saturday night, Washington Hilton, a gunman opens fire at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, targeting the president and his cabinet. And you know what the left-wing National Trust for Historic Preservation did after that? This is the left-wing whack job group that filed a lawsuit. They refused to drop their suit against Trump's White House ballroom. I mean, just let this sink in a minute, okay? I cover the White House. I've got a hard pass. I've been going there for 10 years. Like, I kind of know the beat, right? I kind of get it. I'm a veteran there, right? Still got people, these young kids, whatever, jostle me around, whatever, okay? I'm a veteran. I've been there a decade. So I'm here to tell you the ballroom is not a luxury. It's a necessity. And Saturday night proved it with bullets. Now, you try to go to one of these events in tents, and some of you have been there. It's like a joke. This is the center of freedom of the world, and we got tents up. Yeah, a hotel, public entrances, parking garages, lobbies anybody can walk into. The Department of Justice went through the National Trust after Saturday's shooting and said, drop the lawsuit. Presidential events off White House campus cannot be made fully secure. And we just saw that in real time. We just saw it. Guess what the National Trust said, run by a bunch of libtards with masks? No. Now, these aren't preservationists. These are political hacks and operatives hiding behind marble columns, waging lawfare against a president they hate, even after someone tried to kill him at the exact kind of venue the ballroom would replace. But they don't care. And here's what the media, the fake news, isn't going to tell you. This ballroom is being paid for with private money. There's not a dime of taxpayer money going to this thing. Trump and his allies are funding it. President Trump, some out of his own pocket. That's his right. Not you, not taxpayers. The objection isn't about history. It's got nothing to do with history. Tents are not history. It's not about architecture. It's about Trump derangement syndrome. Plain and simple. A permanent on-campus ballroom means Secret Service controls every inch of the perimeter. You can't get in. Integrated screening, no public lobbies, no parking garages, no hotel hallways where a shooter can set up a machine gun and open fire on the President of the United States. Build the ballroom. The National Trust had their chance to do the right thing. They once again chose politics. They once again chose politics and Trump derangement syndrome over presidential security. The Department of Justice needs to go to court, get the lawsuit thrown out, and continue this tomorrow. Because the next time, we're not going to be this lucky. Don't forget anything on DC. You can follow me on DC Dispatch. Go to makedcgreat.com. That's makedcgreat.com. One of my favorite things in life on the show is Susie Kelly's Ponderful Moments, which I wait for her to come on. She just did a new batch the other day. They're inspiring, and they really mean a lot. We've had so much feedback. She's been doing these for 15 years since we've been on the air. We thank her for that. They're very, very inspiring. And to learn more, go to passionatelycatholic.org. That's passionatelycatholic.org, and they're all up there. And joining us now is Susie Kelly of passionatelycatholic.org. Susie, thanks for being with us so early today.
It's great to be with you today.
I know you had some thoughts on this, another assassination attempt. You texted me last evening. I asked you to come on. Would you share with our audience what your hypothesis is of this whole thing?
Well, the left, it's very complex what's going on in our culture today. But one of the things that, from a Christian Catholic perspective, that I found very, very intriguing from the very moment that Trump became, in the field of politics from his run in 2016, was that he neutralized the issues that are so important to the left, which is abortion, gay marriage, and even to some extent the climate. These are their sacraments. So he neutralized them. He neutralized them by not necessarily, he didn't really talk about them, but he didn't necessarily disagree with them, which kind of provoked the right as well, because we're all about, life. And so he put himself in this place that he was really a neutral candidate. And I think that the left has not been able to come after him for this. So they are going after him, they're attacking him personally instead of, going after those social issues, because they never really were about America anyway. They were never about protecting America. They were really about maintaining those sacraments that are so dear to them. And we're seeing what's happening with that. It's really interesting, as far as I'm concerned, that they can't go beyond the issue of life. They have to have abortion as as the center of their policies, really. And I don't mean just abortion of babies in the womb. It's killing the spirit of people, killing the spirit of the American dream. It's killing so much, that they're just filled with hate. And we could see that with this shooter on Saturday. You can't go into anywhere with a gun and intend to kill people if you have love in your heart. It's just not going to happen.
So the left's vitriol against President Trump, and really all of us in MAGA, is so vile and so disgusting and so hateful that don't you think this plays a part in not only the gunman against Trump almost normalizing this,
but the total breakdown in society. I mean, I engage these people on a somewhat of a daily basis, and I don't even know what the word is. I'm stupefied by their level of hatred for this country, for Trump, for USA, for cultural values, for Christians, for Catholics. I mean, the level of hate that has bubbled up in this nation is just it's disheartening. And I witness it up here in DC every single day. That's why Ann and I try to really insulate ourselves from this. But the level of hatred is sick. And when you hate this much, it blackens the soul. I tell people all the time, even people on our side that hate. It's like if all you're doing is out there hating on people, I mean, it blackens your heart. I mean, it's no way to live. Hating is not living. Living is loving. That's what Jesus preached. That's what he came here for, to love us, to die for us. That's why his arms are spread on that crucifix. By the way, a cross hanging down is just a piece of wood without the crucifix. I've been saying that now. But I mean, this level of hate, where does it emanate from?
Well, it starts in your heart, right? And many of these people that are hating call themselves Christians. And quite frankly, you can't have Christ cannot abide in a heart that has hate. Period. You can call yourself anything you want, but Christ and hate cannot coexist. So what do we have to, it's the question now is what do we do now? What can we do? And of course the left goes to, well, we need to have more laws, gun control or whatever what do you want to put in place to control people? But really it starts with each one of us. And I will tell you this, the breakdown of the family is also a serious issue here in the country, in the world. So we must start first of all with each one of us showing love to others, especially those who we disagree with. We've got to start there. And then we have to do this with our family, and we have to teach our children not only to love one another, but the value of life. And the value of life I'll start with in the womb. You got to start there because that's where life begins. So we have to value life in the womb. I remember when my children were very, very young, just toddlers, I would talk to them about life and about how precious it was. And of course, they're like little sponges. They're absorbing all of this. So that's where you start. If you haven't started, you have a family and you haven't started talking about life when they're young, you can start wherever you are. But it's going to be harder and harder the more they're exposed to the culture for you to have an impact on them. So you've got to start by talking about life and talking about good and evil and also praising God and praying. We have to pray and we have to pray. And I always talk about this, got to pray the rosary. That's what Our Lady did. That's what won the Battle of Lepanto. If you go back to the Catholics against the Muslims, it was won by the praying of the Rosary. So I will just say, I know that a lot of Protestants out there thinking, oh, you're just babbling prayers. But no, these are prayers from the gospel. And I urge everybody to go to the Rosary and start praying for your family and for your country. This issue, this problem in our country will probably take generations to solve because it can't happen overnight. And no law can fix what we're doing right now. However, President Trump is the boldest president that I know in my lifetime has been. Reagan was pretty good, but President Trump is bold and fearless. And we have to understand he's not perfect. And he doesn't have all the issues right when it comes to, necessarily life. But he right now is what we have. And I'll tell you what, I think he's doing a job, a phenomenal job, especially with all of the forces of evil against him. So we have to pray for President Trump as well.
No question about it. Forces of evil against the president. I mean, you get up there and third time that they try to kill him, it's just you just wonder. You just wonder how this president is able to just deal with this.
Yeah.
Because it's three times in 2 years. I mean, that's why Levitt nailed it. She was pissed yesterday. I mean, I've never seen her that way. She's just pissed. And I get it. I get the whole thing. And then this not getting the ballroom. I mean, stop. I mean, just stop the nonsense. But this is what the left does, Trump derangement syndrome. All right, we've got the phone lines are jammed. Everybody wants to talk to Susie Kelly, not me. Let's get to line one, Jay in Montpelier, Virginia, for Susie Kelly. Jay, go ahead.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Susie. I so enjoy hearing you talk on the radio. It's a wonder when we work really hard. All the people on John's radio crew, morning show, we work really hard. We get up early and we go and we listen to you. It's a blessing and certainly do appreciate it. You are exactly right, and we do have to. It's a balance, because they're playing to win. They don't want to love us. We've been down this road with these people for a long, long time, and we grew up listening to Walter Cronkite lie to us about Vietnam and Jane Fonda on anti-aircraft gun for the North Vietnamese. And these kind of things, it's hard to love. It's really hard to love, but we've got to fight and we have to persevere because they do want to kill us. Evidently, they want to kill us.
Yes, they sure do. And the one word that you used, which I will repeat, is perseverance. We must persevere through this. And we must, put on the armor of Christ and move forward. And we're in a battle. We are really in a battle here. And, Trump is leading this way for the country to, make America great again. Well, we as Christians can make America holy again. Let's go back to God. And if we can't do this by, whatever laws are needed to put it in the classroom, start with yourself. Start with yourself. Start praying. Start praying with your family. And, pray for Trump. And every time you hear somebody with hate against Trump, say a prayer for that person who's hating him and pray for their conversion.
Jay, I want to thank you. Thank you for the call, and thank you for engaging with us and getting up every day and tuning us in, Jay, part of the 5 and 6 a.m. audience. 5 Central, never want to forget that, 6 Eastern. Thanks, Jay. Line 2, Paul in the great state of Michigan for Susie Kelly. Paul, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, John. Good morning, Susie. Those are great words that we're hearing this morning. And I'll say also, the first thing is, of course, all glory goes to God. But God does also expect us to use our agency, our human agency. And I really think, to pick up on what I said yesterday, we need to do a better job. We need to get really serious about what's happening. And we need our public officials to address this situation. We are under it's called a color revolution. And I think that President Trump needs to get people around him to address this with all seriousness and let the American people know and call it out that when the news organizations are using words like they're using to inspire people towards violence, this is a very bad thing. It's like yelling fire in an auditorium or in a building, when it's not true. They're inspiring people to violence. And, this all started, many years ago with the Bushes when they privatized parts of our security operations, the CIA, and they cut out these organizations like the SPLC and to do basically off-the-book work. And so these people, there are lots of government officials, our CIA, our intelligence agencies, joined in by the forces of Marxism and evil, and they're all converging, trying to take out, a God-based society, the United States of America. And I apologize for my voice here, but I think that we need to address this and educate the American people so that it can't be done, so that when the newscasters and the fake news and the politicians are trying to incite people to violence, we need to right away call it out. And, with our President Trump, getting on to 60 Minutes and playing the same old game and allowing them to gaslight him and trivialize the situation and hide behind this event that has been that they're encouraging to happen, this violence, and act like it's just some mentally deranged person that writes a manifesto and let's move on. I really think the more we call it out, the more we we educate the American people as to what's happening, the more we can put a stop to it, because they can't hide anymore. So every time somebody gets on and starts calling them a fascist or racist, or people are organizing fake events and creating hate by funding these events that's all fake and fabricated, and the politicians are pretending like somehow he's a king, he's a dictator, a fascist. We need to stop, point the finger at that, and call it what it is. And it's a color revolution, and they're trying to transform our country and take away.
When you had three assassinations,
all right.
When you had three assassination attempts, Paul, in the president's life, it's hard not to call this a color revolution. Susie, go ahead.
Yes, Paul made some great points. The one thing I will say about this is that God put us on this earth right now at this moment in history to fight this battle. So we are, just like Paul said, we are here to fight. We are not here to sit back. And I often hear the expression, everything's in God's hands. Well, yeah, it is, but God has placed us here to fight this battle. So as long as we return to him and like the caller said, give all the glory to God, we must do that. But we must fight the battle. He put us here to do that. So we can't sit back. And I'll be honest with you, I've never seen an administration with a stronger team than the one Trump has. I mean, I don't know how deep it goes, but he's got such a strong team. He put this team together, and I'll tell you, I am so impressed with what he's done. And having a strong team makes all the difference in the world. And I give him and all of those in his cabinet credit for what they're doing right now. But we can always do more. You're right.
Paul, thank you. How much time I got here? I got a couple minutes. Let's get to Greg in Georgia. Greg, you're on with John and Susie, line 3. Greg, go ahead.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, the Democrat Party is a religion. That's their religion, and abortion is the sacrament of the Democrat Party. And you were saying that, I mean, you have to pledge allegiance to abortion to be a Democrat. And you were talking about there's been 3 attempts on Trump's life. Well, there's actually been 5. Emerald Robinson broke a news story yesterday interviewing an ex-Secret Service agent, and through his sources, he's saying that there's been 2 other attempts on Trump's life that that the public doesn't even know anything about. And I want to. How come no right-wing organization has filed a lawsuit to stop Jerome Powell from spending a couple $1 billion on an unneeded building for the Federal Reserve with a basement that how Trump describes it? They're building a basement below the water level of the Chesapeake. So they have to build a basement, what's known as a reverse bathtub or something like that quadrupled the price of the building. And then the DOJ drops all interest, any kind of an investigation into that. So,
well, the hypocrisy of the Democrats knows no bounds, right? So this guy spends all this money on a building we don't need. The last thing they need is another building. And we have to drop the lawsuit because Tom Tillis, the weasel rhino from North Carolina who's retiring, was holding up the nomination of Warsh to get to be Fed chair because he didn't like the lawsuit, because we've allowed this ridiculous filibuster. One guy can stop anything to go on in the Senate because John Thune is a weasel. He won't do anything about it. And so this is what we end up with. So that's it. I mean, it's just the whole thing, Greg, is ridiculous. And as I said in my narrative, the lawsuit against first of all, the National Preservation, people could give a rat's tail. This is all about Trump derangement syndrome. This ballroom is being paid by private funds. It'll live on forever. It should have been done a long time ago. Nobody had the money. Trump got it together. Now he's doing it, and they want to stop it just he's doing it. If Biden was doing it with taxpayer money, they'd all be in favor of it, including the organization that filed the suit. Susie, hang with us through the break for a couple of minutes. I've got Mel in Saratoga Springs. Mel, hang in there. We got to go to quick word from our sponsors. Top of the hour news. Susie, Kelly, and I. Wonderful moments. PassionatelyCatholic.org. We'll be right back at you. Stay with us.
7 FM, AM 820, and WJFB Portsmouth, AM 16.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The 31-year-old California man accused in the attack outside the White House Respondents' Dinner in D.C. last weekend, he's in a heap of trouble, facing 3 charges.
The first count is attempted assassination of the President of the United States. This count is punishable by up to life in prison.
Acting U.S. Attorney Todd Blanche.
The second count is interstate transportation of a firearm to commit a felony. This is punishable by up to 10 years in prison. And the third count is discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence, which is punishable by a mandatory minimum term of imprisonment of 10 years, a maximum of life, and the 10 years is consecutive to any other sentence imposed.
The U.S. Attorney for D.C., Janine Pirro, says Cole Thomas Allen could face additional charges. She says there's no doubt that he had planned to assassinate President Trump and take out as many high-ranking administration officials as he could. Britain's King Charles has a jam-packed schedule in Washington today following a grand White House arrival ceremony and Oval Office talks with President Trump.
For only the second time, a British monarch will address the United States Congress. King Charles will follow in his mother's footsteps this afternoon when he speaks to lawmakers on Capitol Hill. Queen Elizabeth II addressed Congress in 1991 after the First Gulf War. Then this evening, the King and Queen will be guests of honor at a state dinner at the White House, hosted by the President and First Lady.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. The Trump administration appears unlikely to accept Iran's offer to end the war and its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz. That's because the Iranians are apparently still not willing to abandon their nuclear pursuits. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures are mixed. Right now, the Dow futures are up 116 points. NASDAQ futures down 186. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this: Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
A gunman has opened fire in Athens, Greece. Several people wounded.
Police say the suspect, armed with a shotgun, had initially opened fire at a social security office in the centre of the Greek capital, wounding an employee. Officers who arrived at the scene treated the man, but the gunman had fled the scene. The same man suspected of later opening fire on the ground floor of a court building in Athens, with several people wounded there. Authorities had found the shotgun too. The motive for the shooting is unclear. The gunman had reportedly thrown envelopes with documents onto the floor after the shooting at the courthouse, saying those were the reasons for his actions. Greek media is reporting he's 89 years old. I'm Charles Ledesma.
Rescuers have finished removing victims from a damaged commuter train car, confirming the crash outside Indonesia's capital killed 14 people. Crash happened today, a long-distance train crashing into the rear car of a stopped commuter train at a station outside Jakarta. News and analysis, townhall.com. The National Religious Broadcasters has filed a complaint against late-night host Jimmy Kimmel.
The organization wants the Federal Communications Commission to investigate the ABC television network for broadcasting Kimmel's remarks on the April 23rd broadcast when he referred to Melania Trump as "so beautiful, Mrs. Trump, you have the air of an expectant widow." 2 days later, another assassination attempt was made on President Trump's life. NRB President and CEO Troy Miller says, quote, when influential voices joke about death or treat political opponents as disposable, it contributes to a culture where violence feels thinkable to the already unstable. National platforms carry real weight, and with that comes responsibility. Keith Peters, Washington.
The cleanup goes on across parts of the Midwest, pounded by hail, strong winds, and flooding rains. More on these stories, townhall.com.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's the top news of the day.
This show knows things before anybody else is transmitting it. I said 5 minutes after we make a deal, the price of crude oils can go down $20 a barrel. Well, it went down $20 a barrel today.
It did.
15 days from now, and if it looks like we have a good deal, it'll go down another $20 a barrel.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
And that's a good sign for us, obviously, and for the free world.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
All right, folks, I need you to do something right now. Go to johnfredericksradio.com and take our brand new 2028 Republican presidential straw poll. Who do you want leading the ticket? Don't let the elites decide. Make your voice heard. While you're there, weigh in on 2 huge issues: eminent domain reform and President Trump's tariff policies. Are they protecting American workers or hurting growth? This is your movement, your vote, your voice, your choice. Go to johnfredericksradio.com right now and take the poll.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with longevity blend, an infused blend with anti-aging supplements clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you My Pillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our My Pillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our My Pillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door, absolutely free.
Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code Godzilla to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
President Trump and Buddy Carter are working to help Georgians keep more of what they earn by passing the largest tax cut in history, eliminating taxes on tips and overtime, and making the child tax credit permanent.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
From day one, Buddy Carter has stood with President Trump on his mission to make life more affordable for working families. But while President Trump and Buddy Carter were protecting our wallets, Congressman Mike Collins was abusing them. Congressman Collins is under federal investigation for misusing taxpayer funds to benefit himself and his cronies. According to the investigation report, Congressman Mike Collins, quote, may have violated federal law by shelling out government funds to one of his top aides. Georgia families have had enough of wasteful, corrupt career politicians. We just can't trust or afford Mike Collins. Paid for by Buddy Carter for Senate.
I'm Buddy Carter, and I approve this message.
Some guys might decide that it's a little too tough, or it's a little too hard, it's a little too demanding. I'll give you a little example. I got an anonymous letter from a parent. It said, you know, we're just kind of bummed out this year that the boys only get 2 weeks off before they start their summer conditioning program. You know, normally they get 3. Well, we gave them a week at the start of the semester rather than at the end. But here's my point, okay? It's Division I football! It's the Big 12! It ain't intramurals! You got 2 weeks after finals, you got a week at July 4th, and you got a week before camp starts. That's a month! That's probably more vacation than you guys get. And we're a little bummed out that we don't get 3 weeks?
He's your Godzilla of the truth in America.
Run! It's Godzilla!
No gibberish or nonsense, just common sense. And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
Oh, you're back on the John Fredericks Media Network. Thanks for joining us. Coming in live in Washington, D.C. The King is coming. The Queen is here. They're all here. Anne's going to that event today at, so it's about 9:30. She's got to get there. I'll be on the air, so she's covering for me today. Hopefully she's going to meet the King of England, and she's going to meet Queen Camilla. So it's all going to be fun at the White House today. Quite the day of festivities with the King and Queen of Great Britain and Northern Ireland as they go to the White House. I'm John Fredericks, and you are on the John Fredericks Media Network. Don't forget, follow us on social media at JF Radio Show. We're everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. All of our podcasts up on YouTube, Rumble. You can get it anywhere. Just got to follow us at JF Radio Show, and you are good to go. Susie Kelly is coming back for another segment. We got Todd Sheets a little bit later. He's in the waiting room. We got your calls. We got Mel in Saratoga. And if you want to weigh in, love to have you. 888-480-JOHN. Remember, truth and clarity right here. We're the voice of the people. And this is a community, and this is why we want your calls, because we want to hear from you. We're the only show in America that does this, that gets you on, because we value your input. We are great listeners. That's why we're here. We got Susie Kelly with us, another segment from Ponderful Moments, passionatelycatholic.org. That intro you heard was from former Colorado Buffalo football coach Dan Hawkins. Didn't win a lot of games there, but basically said, get off your butt. This is Division I football. And this is it, man. It's what I say every day. Lace them up and lace them tight, right? I mean, if you can't get in the game, then go sit, grab some pine. I mean, this is not for the squeamish or the faint of heart. If you want in this game and you want to save America, and you're faced with all this hate every day, I mean, you got to get a spine, and you got to be ready to go. And if you're John Thune, this whole thing is going down the tubes. Traditionalist, preservationist, all this is nonsense when you're in a color revolution. The whole thing is ridiculous. So lace them up and lace them tight, and you're good to go. Speaking of lacing them up, this segment brought to you by Mike Lindell and MyPillow. He's moved to a new factory. Look, he's got all kinds of products. He doesn't want to ship into a new factory. He wants to give them away to you for 80% off. You want to take advantage of this. You can save up to 80% off on some of the coolest things he's got on your entire order, plus free shipping. He needs to get it out. Get it out. Take advantage of this. Now, they got flannel sheets. They got sandals, hoodies, PJs, basically all this clothing. They got couch pillows, pet pillows like Sammy's got. They got shams. They got mattress protectors, knitted hats, scarves, my pillow, slippers, towels. Got to get the towel set, $39.98. All that good stuff. You can save over 50% on their Giza Dream bed sheets. Some of the stuff up to 80% off. You can save on big ticket items like MyPillow mattress toppers like Ann and I have, or their mattress like we have. We have it. 2 of them right in our house. Phenomenal. Look, check this out. All you got to do is go to mypillow.com, promo code Godzilla, up to 80% off, free shipping. Got to move this inventory out. Take advantage of it. mypillow.com, promo code Godzilla, or give them a jingle. 800-854-0504, 800-854-0504. Operator standing by. They work on commission. They love when you call. They're open right now, 800-854-0504, promo code Godzilla, and you are good to go. Okay, do we have Susie Kelly, or did we lose her video, Dan?
We seem to have lost her video, JF.
All right, well,
maybe she'll get back on. And anyway, let's get to Mel in Saratoga Springs. Mel, you're on with John and maybe Susie if she gets back on. Go ahead, Mel.
Yes, good morning, John. I was hoping to be on with you and your guest, but because of the question that I have is about Mr. Wonderful, Democrat Party's dear leader, Barack Hussein Obama. He seems to be very quiet about this. You know, why isn't he demanding that Jimmy Kimmel step aside or be fired or let go? You know, this guy, he's got a lot of pull, a lot of weight. He should be out speaking. Where's Bill Clinton? You know, he's a rapist, and they're trying to accuse President Trump as being a rapist. And you got a pedophile, Joe Biden, who took showers with his daughter, you know, at the age of 12, I believe. You know, well, where are these guys at? How come they're not speaking up? Because it's all, you know, a plan of theirs to try and kill President Trump and take over the, you know, to get this one-party government here in our country, headed up by the Democrat Communist, you know, party. The Democrat Party is a party of the insane asylum. That's what you have here, John. Ray Charles can see that. It's just, it's obvious. It's not anything to be joked around with, played with. It's got to come to a stop. And I'll tell you what, if that any, you know, I wouldn't PISS on a Democrat if he was laying down on the ground here in front of me on fire to put in a serious heart attack. I would not. But this is how I feel about these people, about this wing of our society. They're insane, totally insane, and they get away with everything. You got a bunch of freaking rhinos in there that, you know, that don't want to prosecute, don't want to do this, don't want to do that. They just let them off the hook. You know, outside of what this nut job from California is going to get. You know, John, I'm an American who happens to be black. I look at the picture of this guy. He looks like a mixed race. You know what I mean? And it looks to me, I mean, it better not reflect on us black people. I'll tell you that. Because you got some wild nut job from California, raised up in a Democrat leftist white household, half white, half black, whichever the case is, and they drank Kool-Aid, and it's just what they produce. You know what I mean? But they better not use this nut job as a weapon, you know, to get black folks, you know, upset. Look what they're doing to this black man. But I'm just telling you, he looks to be of a mixed race. And I have nothing against mixed race. I'm married to an Italian woman, Italian and Spanish. You know, my kids are of mixed race. But believe me, John, they've been raised right. They've been raised conservative. They ain't going out doing no stupid crap like this. It ain't going to happen. Does not happen. Wouldn't happen. But anyhow, John, that's all I wanted to say. I was hoping that your guest was going to be on.
Well, she's on. We have her back.
To respond.
Wait, Mel. We got Susie back. Mel went on quite a little fire rant there. Did you hear any of that, Susie?
Yeah, I've heard the whole thing. I could hear everything. I don't know if you could.
Go ahead and comment on Mel from Saratoga Springs.
You know, it's funny because the left is always demonizing the right for being racist. And Mel was right. You know, I know so many people that are of different race than white people that they're not, you know, we're not racist. We live together. We are, you know, we work together. We elected a black president. I mean, how can we be racist? And while he was in office, you know, we called him our president. So unlike what they're doing with Trump. So the thing that we're racist, I mean, again, this is part of the hate. We cannot be people of God and have hate in our heart. They cannot coexist. And I'll keep saying that because we've got to work on that. If you have hate in your heart about Trump or about anything, you need to work on that because that is incompatible with the love of God. So I would say, you know, Mel, good, you know, great to bring these things up. And we just have to continue to work on this.
All right, Mel, I'll give you the final word, buddy.
Oh, well, yeah, John, you know, yeah, we do live together. You know, I was an iron worker for 12 years. You know what I mean, John? Every time, the one time I remember, we were just sitting around. I was up on the steel, up on the building, putting up an addition to Albany Medical Center. And it was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And it was a holiday. And the fellows who were there on the job, Irish, Italian. They turned around to me and says, well, what are you doing here today? And I said to him, he died for me to be here today. You know what I mean? So it was just like one of those days. We're all fun. They knew I was a worker. I got my job done. And I didn't fool around. I mean, but we were brothers together out of the same union, and we worked together. We would, if there were any danger, I mean, we all looked out for each other. Black, white, grizzly, gray. It didn't matter because we all knew we were out trying to make an honest living and raise families, and that's what it was. And it was nothing. Was no sort of animosity against this one, that race, not like that, because we're all doing the same job, earning a living. But it just seems to be, though, the Democrats are just trying to drive a wedge in between the races, deliberately. Crazy. I wouldn't vote for a Democrat if you had a gun on me. Yeah, I just couldn't. I mean, JFK would be thrown out of the party if he was alive today. I don't know. It's obvious. But that's all I wanted to say. They're just trying to drive a wedge in between the races and cause a flame, cause a fire. And it ain't working. And they say it ain't working. But you've got a handful of these nut jobs that would do stupid stuff like this you had just done. It's insanity. Like I said, the Democrat Party is the party of the insane asylum. That's all I wanted to say, John. Thank you.
All right, Mel, look, before you go, Colonial Downs opening mid-June. Ann and I do have a horse. We're going to probably be racing it there. Right now it's in Churchill Downs. Are you gonna take one of your horses to Colonial Downs? Am I going to see you there? Yes or no? It's a simple question. There's either a yes or no answer.
John, I will. Yes, I will. I will come to Colonial Downs. I have to get a condition book, look through it, find pick a race, pick a date, and see how the conditions are if the horse fits. But John, the money's a lot better here in New York. You might want to maybe buy another horse.
Blah, blah. Yes, I know the purses are better there. I know the money is better. It's certainly better in Kentucky than is in Virginia. But
much better than New York. Right.
Well, Kentucky's the best. Virginia's the worst, right? But look, I've been a supporter of Colonial Downs. I was there supporting them in the General Assembly. I fought for them. And if I got a horse, obviously I'm going to race it there, even though the purses are not as lucrative as they are in Kentucky or New York. But yes, we're going to do that. So I hope to see you there. No excuses.
Have to develop himself to give me a good idea of what I got. Once I see what I got, he can come down there and handle that field down there, those Virginia breds and Pennsylvania breds. Yeah, we'll ship down. We'll ship down and try to take the fight.
Man, we'll have,
of course.
We'll make the weekend of it, all right, Mel?
Oh, you got it, brother. Yes.
Have you our
yes,
suite.
John. Yes.
You come up the owner's suite. All right, Mel. Mel in New York.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Take care.
All right, Mel. Thank you. All right, Susie, stay on. Let's bring in Todd Sheets, our economic guru. Todd, I love bringing you in and throwing you into the culture wars. I just doing it with no advance notice whatsoever. I know you want to talk about Warsh. I know you want to talk about, interest rates being lowered. I know you want to talk about, dropping the suit at the Federal Reserve with spending all that money on a building we don't need. But I'm going to suck you into culture wars right now because I know you really love these segments the best for everything you do. And you're on with Susie Kelly from passionatelycatholic.org, also the author and the voice of Ponderful Moments. So, Susie, you're on with Todd Sheets, who has a Substack column and wrote one of the best books ever on the crash in 2008, What Really Happened, and my resident economic guru. So, Susie, I just want to get Todd involved here. We had the assassination attempt. It's the third one. Some people say there was a fourth, maybe a fifth that we don't know about, but there was at least three. We've had a couple people now saying this is a color revolution. The security at the Hilton is stunningly bad. I mean, I have to admit, I love what the Secret Service did. And my son, as you know, wants to be a Secret Service agent after baseball. So he's got to go. He's got to be a DC cop and all that stuff to get there. But the security looked kind of like, I don't know, it just was like this guy travels, he checks into the hotel. There's no metal detectors. He
brings up shotguns to his room for 3 days. The whole thing is crazy. But is this something bigger than just a whack job trying to assassinate Trump, Susie Kelly?
Thanks, John. Yes, and of course, we were talking about the spiritual battle that we're all in. But I want to address one thing because it's very important. Um, that there were perimeters around the Hilton. There's a border in our country. We as Americans have to understand that we must protect what is ours. And what is ours is our country. And what was Trump's was that event the other night. But I'll mention this. For those of you who think that we should have an open border, I mean, you can't possibly be Christian because even heaven has a border. And the heaven's border has a gate. And getting through that gate, it's a very narrow gate, very narrow. And as scripture says, very few people go there. And I think that our culture thinks that as long as when you die, everybody just goes to heaven. Well, we know people need to think about that because heaven has a border, has a gate, and very few people go there. We need to figure out how we're going to get in. And there should, just like with your guest Todd, he's big on economics. Why can't we get together? Why can't the country come together on like border security, on healthy economics? These are things that all Americans we can all get together there. So I don't know. I think we need to keep working on it, John. You're doing your part by bringing it up to light. Todd's doing his part, writing books. We just have to keep coming to battle every day. Never give up.
Todd, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, look, I agree with a lot of what Susie said. What I would add to this, from what I've seen so far, it's not clear to me that this particular assassin was part of like a community, a cabal that was planning to do bigger things. But that doesn't mean he isn't a part of something bigger. And I think he is a part of something bigger, which is these continued attacks from the far left socialist wing of the Democratic Party, which now seems to be taking over more and more. They've been calling Trump Hitler. They say he leads the Gestapo. This whole Hitlerization of him as an individual and his presidency, that basically sends a message to those who are either likely to or capable of being radicalized that anything you do to take out somebody who is that dangerous will make you a hero. And there's evidence, in his manifesto that that's how he saw himself. I think that's how all of these assassins ultimately see themselves, as this is going to make them a heroic, part of history by engaging in an act like this. So I think it is a part of something bigger. And I think that bigger thing is that we are at the point of regime change right now. In the post-Bill Clinton era, Clinton was basically a Ronald Reagan Democrat. He governed with the same kind of principles. That's part of the reason why the Reagan boom extended throughout the 1990s. But post-Bill Clinton, when we went down this woke cancel culture period of time where the educational institutions started shutting off speech, started attacking in ways that they hadn't before, the far left got further and further in power. They came as close to running things as they ever had under Biden, where they had a puppet in front of them who ran as a moderate, but was being controlled by the AOCs and the Bernie Sanders and that kind of thing. And having tasted that, they're not willing to give up the battle. And they see Trump as the Antichrist because he is the first politician from the right who's had the guts to stand up to this onslaught that they've initiated in the last 20 years and not only stand up to them, but then legislate an agenda which is designed to overturn and overthrow everything they've been trying to accomplish for this period of time. So that's what I think is the bigger part of what we're dealing with here.
You want to comment on that, Susie?
No, I couldn't agree more. And you mentioned Bill Clinton. If you remember from the Clinton, if I have this correct, remember when Clinton came to office, he, I think, made the comment that abortion should be safe and rare. I think that was from Clinton, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And so, we've come a long way, baby, from the safe and rare. It's like, and like I said, this is the left's sacrament. And when Trump neutralized that sacrament, he's not running on that. They don't have anywhere to go with that. So he's been, it's interesting. Now the left is all about hate. It's about hating Trump. And our institutions, especially the institution of education, they abandon God, period. And when you abandon God and you won't let any talk in about God, you allow a lot of room for the evil one to come in and take over. And that's what's happening there. We need to, we are a country that is founded on the love of God. I mean, that's how we were founded. We got to get back to that. And it doesn't mean we have to practice religion in our schools, but we have to acknowledge that God is there, God exists, and he's really in control of things. We have to give praise to God.
Todd?
Yeah, so I'm going to put, I'm not a religious person, but I'm going to put a spin on that, or not a spin, but a perspective on that I think is entirely consistent with what you said for anybody else who's out there listening and thinking about this from a non-religious perspective like I do. To me, we have got to defend the Western values that this country was founded and created on. Those Western values are under attack by the socialist far left, and those Western values, whether you are religious or not, are hugely impacted by religion and Christianity in a very favorable and positive way. And so I think whether you are a strong religious person or you're less so like me, we all believe in this same set of ideals, which are the only ideals in history that have created the kind of freedoms, religiously and otherwise, the opportunity for individuals to realize their own potential, and the kind of economic environment that can lift up people, out of the depravity that defined almost all of world history before we came onto the scene, and most of the world even today. And this is why so much of the rest of the world wants to come back towards
Todd,
these.
save that thought. I got to go to a quick break. You guys stay with us. We're going to be right back.
Is a record player the best way to listen to music? Of course not. So why are you still taking vitamins in pill form that haven't been upgraded since the 1930s? Even if you don't have trouble swallowing, most vitamins in pill form can't be absorbed very well. It's time to upgrade to the pill-free future of vitamins. Advanced nutrition company, Healthy Cell, created a patent-pending ingestible gel that is clinically proven to have 265% the absorption rate of tablets. These physician-formulated supplements come in a small gel pack. You tear off the top and shoot it down. You can also mix it in water. They taste great, they're convenient on the go, and they're more natural too, without chemical binders, fillers, and coatings. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com. HEALTHYCELL.com.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are a $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, My Pillow mattresses and My Pillow mattress toppers as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's gonna ship absolutely free.
To take advantage of the second annual mega sale, go to mypillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code Godzilla.
Ponder this. Imagine for a moment that you are lying on your deathbed. This is a great exercise to do each day in preparation for your very last day on Earth. Think about the tests you've ever taken, the job interviews you've had, and the many life celebrations you've been a part of. In all of these cases, preparation makes for successful outcomes. The same is true for dying. We must prepare every day for the day we are to die, in case today might be our last. Make sure you are right with the Lord first and foremost. If you are a Catholic, make sure you are in the state of grace by receiving the sacrament of confession often. Next, make sure you are right with your family, friends, and all those who are in your world. Apologize to those who have offended you and mend relationships that need healing. Make each day a preparation for your last day on earth, because it just may be. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
And stop. Really? Is that the first question? We won the game 20-10. Try another question. We played the game to win the game.
All right. How about third down then? What is going on with third down?
It's one game. Last game, we were great on third down. You're looking at this from the wrong perspective. LSU won the football game. Won the game. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? You want us to win 70-0 against Florida to keep you happy?
No, I think people want to know why you can't run the ball, quite honestly.
We can run the ball. Did you see the last play of the game? That's all you need. You just need one. There's ridiculous questions. You know what? You're spoiled. You're spoiled. This team is 17-1 at night. 17-1. Give them some respect.
Don't touch that dial. You found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle the truth.
And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
You're back on the John Fredericks Media Network and all the John Fredericks radio apps, and thanks for being with us, as always. And if you're in West Virginia, don't forget to download our new app there, West Virginia Sports. Everything is available to you. Don't want to miss a beat. It's all right there. All you have to do is go to the App Store or Google Play if you have an Android. App Store, obviously, if you have an iPhone device or an iPad or something of that nature. And all you have to do is put in WV Sports Nation. WV Sports Nation. You're going to get the app. It's free. Everything we have is free. You get alerts on there. We got great game coverage. We got baseball. We got the Big 12 tournament coming up. We got football coming up. We got everything is right there. Everything. WV Sports. You want to download their app. You want to do it today. It takes you 30 seconds. Just do it as a favor to me because you're going to love our coverage. And here's the other thing. Ann and I and my son, Jack, who's the CEO of the WV Sports Nation website, we hire young writers. We give them an opportunity, some right out of college, some in college. This is really the first writing job they've had. They want to be journalists. They want to get in the world of sports broadcasting. We set this company up to give them a shot, and we love having them, and they're all doing a super job. And my older son, Jack, who's a college professor at Arizona State University and getting his PhD there, he runs the whole thing. You're going to love this site. Download the app today, WV Sports Nation. Just put in WV Sports Nation, and it will come right up. And we thank you guys for doing that. Appreciate it. And got to support, young journalists that are looking for an opportunity, and we're able to provide that. We're happy to be able to do that. We thank our sponsors like Titan Roofing and others for making all this possible. So thank you. Back to our vibrant discussion here. Susie Kelly is with us, passionatelycatholic.org. And you can hear her. She's been recording Ponderful Moments, inspiring us for 15 years. So thank you for Susie, a founding sponsor of our network. Thank you. And also Todd Sheets with us. Both of them, by the way, donated to my campaign. So guys, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate that, Todd. And Susie, thank you. And Todd Sheets with us, author of What Really Happened in 2008. Read that book. Yeah, that's what happened to me. And also you can follow him on Substack for free. Just put in Todd Sheets, 2 E's, and you're good to go. Todd, you're finishing up quite the narrative there on Western values and the collapse of it in America. I want you to finish that thought, and then we'll get back to Susie, and also take your calls. 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try and finish up quickly with just one additional element of that. Those Western values, of which Christianity was an enormous part. Obviously, we see it in the founding fathers. We see it carried through in the ideals of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, those kinds of things. That is what lifted mankind up off of the ash heap of history that existed prior to the time that those values came into play. One of the most ironic things right now, to try and bring this conversation full circle, is even as we have to fight against this socialist movement within, coming from the far left of the Democratic Party, what we see outside our borders is the rest of the world is figuring out that they need to come back to those Western values. We see it in Latin America, which went down this path of socialism, democratic socialism, whatever you want to call it, in Venezuela. They found out collectivism didn't work. Cuba's seen it. We see it in the Middle East. 50 years ago, those people fell prey to the idea that the United States is not the solution, it's the great Satan. And they were sold by their government that they could create a collectivist solution that would make their lives so much better. And here we are 50 years later, out of 90 some million people in Iran, there's probably all but about a couple 100,000 in the IRGC who want to move back in that direction. And that is also true of most of the major countries in the Middle East now. That's one of the reasons why this war is so different, is because there is now a movement and a recognition they want to come back towards these values, which have been proven to lift people up, not just economically, but also with the freedoms to explore spirituality in whatever way it is important to them and in all other areas of their life. So it's so ironic that today the biggest foe we're fighting is not outside our borders, it's inside our borders, even as those outside the borders have seen the real world consequences of going down that path.
You want to comment on that, Susie Kelly?
Yes, thank you. Western values, of course, these are it's what we were founded on, right? And coming back to them is very important. But how are these values transmitted to individuals? They're primarily transmitted via the family. And right now, in our country and probably in much of the world, the family is broken. And so those values are not transmitted in the way that has been traditionally transmitted. So how do we learn? How do we teach our children? We have to go back to not only family values, but our basic virtues that are given to us by God. And I know that, Todd, that you're not religious, and quite frankly, I would imagine that the bulk of the country is no longer religious. I mean, a lot of Catholics have left their faith. We've gone to this place because we're so affluent and it's so comfortable. We don't need God. We're okay without him, but we can't. If God took his eyes off us, he could drop us and let us go in a heartbeat. He doesn't need us. We need him. And we need to focus on families. Our pastors and our preachers and our pope and our bishops need to emphasize virtues once again, the virtue of chastity, so that we don't have broken families, that we're all living according to God's laws and not just our own whims. We must go back to these virtues that we can raise our children on. You know, I'm looking at one of my daughters here in Jacksonville. She has 9 children because she's open to life, which is what our church teaches. You have to be open to life. Well, if you could see the family, they're living in as a little community. They're helping each other. They're growing things in their garden. They're raising chickens. They're doing things together. The family can't eat unless they cooperate. And so they center their life around God and around helping each other. These kind of things are learned through family. You don't necessarily have to have 9, 10, 12 children, but you know what? It's not so bad. I'll tell you, it's not so bad.
Well, it's easy being the grandmother of 9 children. It's a little more difficult when you're in there trying to raise them. So yeah, you can come in and out, and grandma's here, and everybody hugs you, and hey,
They
Grammy's
do.
here. Yeah. So come on. I mean, you're like a father there trying to raise 9 kids and figure out who's playing baseball and soccer on a Saturday and what games to go to. Gets a little more difficult than the grandma thing. But I do hear what you're saying. I get that. Okay, Todd, I want to get to some economic issues. We'll keep Susie on; she can comment on it. But looks like we're finally going to get Warsh approved. Looks like Powell will probably stay on the board, but the chairman has all the power. We all know that. What does this mean? Are we going to get an interest rate cut? Does the war matter? What is your vision here going forward, Todd, with the Fed?
Yeah, I think the war matters in the short term, and clearly it does push prices up somewhat in the short term. We've talked about this before, but people have to remember this does not mean we're headed into the 1970s stagflation, because if you have oil prices go from, let's just say, $65 to $100 a barrel, which is about where they are now, give or take a few bucks, and which index you're looking at, that's a one-time increase. It does ripple through the system. But unless prices keep going up by that same percentage rate every year, then that ripple effect comes into the system and it stops. So this is not like the 1970s. And the most likely scenario is this war will come to a conclusion at some point in time. Oil prices will come back down. If we get the optimal solution in the war, they probably go down below where they were before the war started. Because then we get Iran's a free Iran, let's just say, with their oil coming into the world markets outside of being sanctioned. Then we have more supply that brings prices down even further. Also, what's happening in Venezuela and that kind of thing. So short term, yeah, I think it does put some inflationary pressure on. As we've talked about before, the Fed really still hasn't gotten inflation totally under control. Things were headed in a good direction. There's a chance that this productivity boom that is getting kicked off, that's been going on for a while, even before AI, and which may be enhanced by AI, will help with all of that and create the opportunity to bring rates down further. But I think those things are for the future. And then the bottom line here at the end, Kevin Warsh is the right guy to run the Fed. He understands these issues. He understands the overreach that institution has been involved with for the last 30 plus years, how many problems have been created, the need to rein it back in. And so I'm so glad to see that regardless of the merits of the suit against Powell, that Trump withdrew that so we can get Warsh in there and let him run this institution and start changing it.
Well, it's can't be fast enough for me to get Powell out of there. Susie, I can't let you go without asking the question, which is coming. Okay. I know we have another woke pope. I get it. Right. You and I are Catholic. I don't like the criticism of the Pope by the president. I just don't like it. I go back to Jesus when they asked him, what about Caesar's 10% tax? And Jesus said, give Caesar his due and then give everything else to God and follow me. But give Caesar his due. My position on the Pope is, look, I don't agree with him. He's there to preach the gospel, but he's still the leader of the papacy. He's still the leader of the Catholic Church. I don't have to agree with his public statements, whether they be private or not. But I think getting into a spat with him on social media, as the president has done, I don't think
gains you any votes in the midterms. It's of no value to me. And I just want, when I go to the Pope for gospel, I don't go to the Pope for his, view on whether or not we should open up the Straits of Hormuz. I mean, I just don't go there. But I don't think getting into it with him on social media, as the president has done, serves any viable purpose in gaining us votes. So if I was a president, I just ignore him. He can say what he wants, and but he's still the Pope, and he happens to be woke, and so it is what it is. But that's my position. What is yours?
So, it's important for Catholics and Christians to understand their faith and to understand Christianity because, even our church has been infiltrated by socialists and communists. And that's been happening for about a century. So we've had this going on. It's important that we know what the truth is, and the truth is Jesus Christ. And it's not what the words that are spewed out of any pope necessarily, although the Pope can talk dogmatically about things. The Pope is not supposed to change things per se. This Pope is supposed to take what he has received and then hand it down to others. His mission and the mission of the church, the supreme law of the church, is the salvation of souls. So we've diverted from that supreme law so much that we must pray for the Pope, but know what our church teaches because, a lot of bishops and a lot of priests and popes have gone off the rails, and they're no longer looking at the primary mission of the church, which is the salvation of souls. And so I urge every Catholic in particular to learn their faith, Jesus Christ established the Catholic Church. We've been around since Jesus Christ. So we need to know what he said, what he did, and how he told us to live. And that's what we need to continue to do. But no, I understand the frustration. Just keep your eyes on Christ. Keep your eyes on Christ.
But I mean, look, they're still human beings. I mean, they have a right. I don't begrudge any of our bishops or cardinals or pope to speak out on issues outside of the papacy, outside of the Catholic venue, on what they believe, whether they're conservative or not. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I mean, and I think we kind of get caught up in this. I mean, I understand the goal as a Catholic is to bring people to Christ, and young people are coming to Catholicism in record numbers because it offers a clear picture of life and religion. It's very clear. It's very clean. I think that's why they're driving. But to get in a tit for tat about what some cardinal says about, a public event, the hell do I care? I mean, they got their opinion. I've got mine. I just don't see where getting into a public debate is helpful. I want to win the midterms. Doesn't get us a single vote. So I just would encourage the president to, who cares, right? I mean, he's not Catholic. Let the Catholics figure it out. We got our own issues. Todd, you got to weigh it. Todd, you got to love this segment, right? And I brought you into this because you're not religious, but that's why you're so effective. Go ahead.
Well, we don't live in an ideal world, but I'm just going to, I'll posit something that maybe isn't very realistic, but I do think ideal. I agree with what you said. They're free to express their opinion, but it's one thing to use a religious pulpit to try and spread ideology that goes outside of what the religious belief system is, which is, I think, a little bit of what Susie's getting at. I think if we were in that ideal world, which admittedly we're not, the Pope would stay out of politics and the politicians would stay away from the Pope. And they would both, focus on their sphere of influence and try and make the world a better place through that sphere of influence. And I guess just to put one final thing, since we're not in an ideal world, I do agree with you. If the Pope is going to step outside of those boundaries and deal in political and economic and social commentary, I do think the best thing for the president to do would be to just let it go and not bring it up. It only highlights it further and turns it into a bigger issue.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, he gave the Pope a platform. I don't even remember what he said about the war. I know he was popping off about something. He went out some trip to Africa or something. He's popping off at a press conference. Pope Francis, what, Pope Leo, whatever, right? But then, it all came to light when President Trump starts putting out Truth Socials, blasting him. To me, it served no purpose. It just highlighted it, as far as I'm concerned. But the real issue here, Susie, for me as a Catholic, that the buried headline is the enormous movement, all of a sudden, out of the blue, from nowhere, of Zoomers, young people, Zoomers, who I'm very focused on, moving into the Catholic faith. Was it inspired by anything? There was no Million Kid March or college thing, or it just happened. Now, I've been talking about this, as my audience knows, for years, because I traveled around the country with my son playing baseball, and I started to see kids praying together organically, wearing crucifixes organically, no parents around, nobody leading it. They just go out and pray, and I saw it. It got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I knew this was coming. But how much time do I have? I got 3 minutes. Where is the gravity pull of young people all of a sudden now joining Catholicism? What is driving that out of the blue, Susie?
Well, with the Holy Spirit, there's no out of the blue. The Holy Spirit is in control of this. And the Holy Spirit has touched the hearts of young people because they're looking for something more. The world is not satisfying them. Their electronic relationships are failing them. Their relationship with their friends are not strong. They're looking at their electronic devices, and they're not getting any kind of redeeming value from them. So they're looking for the authentic way to live a life. And when you boil that down, it's Catholicism. Because like I said, we're the church that was founded by Jesus Christ. So they come back to the church. If they go to the traditional Mass, which is the Latin Mass, you will see the true form of worship. You will experience it with the smells and the bells and everything, and it can transform you. So I think that young people, and it will be old people as well, are looking for something more in life. And as economically we become challenged, we are called to also make sacrifices as Americans and as Christians. So when the oil prices, like I said, go up, we as Christians are supposed to suffer with Christ. So we need to make accommodations as well in order for us to have a thriving country and have a thriving world. There are certain times and periods in history where we are called to do more sacrificing. And I think this time in history, we are called to bigger things. We are called to bigger relationships, bigger worship, and bigger sacrifice.
Susie, I think you're going to convert Todd to Catholicism. What do you think, Todd? I think that's coming. I think you probably think that's why we got you on this segment. It's totally organic. But Todd, thank you. We're going to give you, I got a couple minutes here. We have to go. I'm going to give you the final word on this whole thing. And again, I love inspiring you into the culture wars because you're really good at it. So give us your final word and we'll bounce.
Yeah, what this brings to mind for me is I had a younger friend. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, who was from Africa. He had immigrated here from Africa. He was deeply Christian. He did try and convert me at one point in time. And he told me about the incredible impact that having Christianity come into his life in Africa when he was around 10, 11 years old. He was living with his mother. They were estranged from his father. And he said it totally changed his life. This was a brilliant young guy, a computer scientist, a musician. We met in a coffee shop and hit off. And I'll just say, it was fascinating to see what an incredible impact it had on his life, how much it was a part of his life and trying to spread it here, including our relationship. And the other thing is we used to sit and have these conversations, and I would say to him, I'd say, Charles, you and I agree on everything, and we are looking at and for the same things. And these are the same things that Susie were talking about. We just have slightly different perspectives on how to get there or how to think about these things. But I think, these are universally workable ideals and principles, which is why they've been adopted by so many people from so many cultures over so many thousands of years, basically.
Todd Sheets, want to thank you for that. Great wrap for our segment. Thanks for joining us today, Todd Sheets. As always, read Todd Sheets on Substack. You want to be able to do that. Todd Sheets, Susie Kelly, passionatelycatholic.org. We're going to be right back. Keep it right here.
WJFN W224EB 92.7 FM Chester, W299DB 107.7 Bon Air, 100.5 FM Goochland, and WJFV Portsmouth AM 1650.
From Town Hall, Amit Thomason. Last weekend's attack on the White House Correspondents' Dinner in D.C. has the Trump administration doing a top-to-bottom review of presidential security.
There will be a meeting early this week convened by the White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles with top DHS leadership, members of the United States Secret Service, and our own operations team here to ensure the safety and the security of the president, as we do have many of these major events moving forward. So we're always monitoring operations and procedures, always asking the tough questions to ensure the president is safe.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Saturday's chaotic encounter at the dinner resulted in shots being fired. 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen is charged with attempting to assassinate the president, transporting a firearm across state lines, and discharge of a firearm during a violent crime. An officer wearing a bullet-resistant vest was shot in the vest and is recovering now. Congressional Republicans point to that incident as another reason to get behind the president's White House ballroom project.
President Trump renewed his case for speeding it along after a gunman tried to storm Saturday's White House Correspondents' Association dinner at the Washington Hilton. Trump saying his ballroom would be more secure.
It's drone-proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. That's why Secret Service, that's why the military are demanding it.
Now Republican senators are publicly joining the case.
Underneath there will be a lot of military stuff. There will be a Secret Service annex.
Senator Lindsey Graham.
The ballroom itself will avoid the dilemma of having to leave the White House grounds.
And they're introducing a bill that would pay for it.
Offsetting it with custom fees. The estimate is $332 million.
Ben Thomas, Washington.
On Wall Street this morning, stock futures are mixed ahead of the opening bell. Right now, Dow futures up 65 points, and NASDAQ futures are down 355 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So, yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds, too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085, 800-555-2085, or biglou.com.
A suspect pleads guilty to plotting an attack on a big public gathering in Vienna back in 2024.
Austrian media says a man accused of plotting to attack one of superstar singer Taylor Swift's concerts in Vienna nearly 2 years ago has pleaded guilty at his trial starting Tuesday. The plot was thwarted, but Australian authorities still cancelled Swift's 3 planned performances for that period. The media assembled outside the courtroom in Wiener Neustadt, waiting for the arrival of the 21-year-old Austrian citizen known only as Baron A, in line with Austrian privacy rules. The defendant faces charges including terrorist offences and membership in a terrorist organisation. I'm Charles Tuladesma.
The Ukrainian defense minister says the country's armed forces shot down more than 33,000 Russian drones of various types in March, a record monthly figure since Moscow launched its invasion more than 4 years ago. News and analysis, townhall.com. The Pentagon wins a battle having to do with freedom of the press.
An appeals court has ruled that the Defense Department can require journalists to be escorted on Pentagon grounds while the Trump administration appeals a judge's decision to block its enforcement of a press access policy challenged by the New York Times. Monday's ruling by a divided three-judge panel from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit isn't the final decision in the newspaper's lawsuit over a new Pentagon press credential policy, but the panel's majority opinion said the administration is likely to succeed in showing that the policy's escort requirement is legally valid. Keith Peters, Washington.
In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis is pushing for a new congressional map. His proposal aims to give Republicans 4 more U.S. House seats, equivalent to what Democrats are expected to gain in Virginia. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey parents, plan an unforgettable summer. Send your kids to Rapidan Baptist Camp in Rochelle, Virginia. 1 week of nonstop fun and life-changing.
He's the voice of Virginia.
No, you can't. You have one of the worst voices I've ever heard in my life.
And the commander of common sense.
Fire at will, Commander.
Now back to the John Fredericks Show.
Well, it's great to have you back on the John Fredericks Media Network, and I am your Godzilla of the truth in America, your oracle of the deplorables. Thanks for joining us as always. Hey, don't forget, there's a lot of great things happening out there. We got a shot at winning the midterms. I think we're going to overturn this thing in Virginia. I think that's going to be nullified with the Supreme Court. That ruling is going to come within about 2 weeks. Oral arguments heard yesterday. Got a couple of the judges very skeptical of what went on. Some were quiet. I think we got 4 judges. I think this thing goes down. Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis in Florida, putting himself back into presidential play. And I'll tell you how he did this for 28. He's got redistricting. He's got a special session. He's going to get 5 or 6 seats. He's taken no prisoners. I think it gets him back in the game in 2028. I think he learned from the mistakes he made. He learned from that whole debacle going against Trump. But I think if he can pull this off, he gets back in the game. So it's all good. And good to have you with us as always. Now, don't forget, on the John Fredericks Media Network, this segment sponsored by my campaign for Ward 2 chairman. Just go to makedccgreat.com. You can put that up there with the QR code, makedccgreat.com, makedccgreat.com. Check that out. I got a new column coming out today on the ballroom under my DC dispatch. So go to makedccgreat.com. You can donate to my campaign there, $200 maximum in DC. But if you want change and you want to keep Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful, and you believe in what President Trump has done, and you believe in what we're doing here and how safe it's been and how this city has been transformed, then I'm going to need your vote, and I'm going to need a campaign donation. So just go to makedccgreat.com, go to our donation link. Anything helps. It matters. I can sit on the sidelines or I can get into the game, which I've decided to do. They tried to throw me out of the party, just like anybody that wants change. You ask a question, you get thrown out. I get it. I'm an adult, but that's not going to stop us. We're going to keep moving forward. Go to makedccgreat.com. My column coming out today on DC Dispatch under that, makedccgreat.com. And appreciate your donation. And this segment has been paid for by the Fredericks for Chairman campaign and approved by me. Joining me now, Diana Harshberger, Representative Tennessee 1, that's Eastern Tennessee. Representative Harshberger, great to have you with us.
Hey, it's always a pleasure, John.
Diana, DHS, now you got another problem. We're trying to get this funded. There's an argument going on between the House and the Senate on what bill is going to fly, what goes into reconciliation. Where are we on getting our people paid?
Well, the funding runs out on the 30th of April, so we have to get something done. The Senate worked to get a skinny reconciliation sent over, and now we have to look at it, send it back, and then we have to do a reconciliation 3. So, and that's where everybody's wondering what goes in that. You know, when they zeroed out DHS and ICE, of course, in the big, beautiful bill, we had funded ICE, so we don't worry about that. But we need to be able to pay the Border Patrol. We need to be able to pay Secret Service, because you saw what happened Saturday. You know, we've got to pay those guys. And then you have TSA. You've got a number of people that will go without their paycheck. They have one more, and that's it. So we've got to figure out a way. And what goes into Reconciliation 3, they're still trying to figure that out. You know, I'd love to get some more health care reforms within the bill. I don't know what they're open to. You know, you think you're just, it's smooth sailing with a one-person majority. Then you've got not only to, you know, fight your own party within the House, you've got to worry about the Senate and what they think they can do, what they will do. It's ridiculous.
What do you want to see in this bill, Diana Harshbarger?
Well, we'd love to see some health care reform in Reconciliation 3. You know, we took care of a lot of fraud. If they would just focus on the fraud that is beset within this country, you know, where they balked at what we're doing in the Farm Bill with SNAP, they've balked at what we did in health care reform with, you know, illegitimate people being on Medicaid and what they've done in that arena. You know, you would save multi-billions of dollars, if not trillions. So, you know, there's different reforms, site neutral, changing the way some of the hospitals bill and how they do things. I don't know what we're going to get, John. It's like it's a mystery to me as to how far we can go in that Reconciliation 3 because of what the Senate's going to say. On the FISA bill, for example, they wanted to tie CBDC to that, you know, the central bank digital currency bill, because they were promised, the House was, that everything that went over that we could attach it to, we're going to attach it to. So you've got some members in the House that may vote no on the FISA reforms because they're not going to attach that. And they say they can't do it. I don't know if there's a way in reconciliation. Well, heck, we can't even get the Save America Act passed in the Senate. They could have UC'd that the night that 5 senators stood on the floor at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and UC'd what they sent over on DHS. Why didn't they just do the Save America Act too? They could have done it, but they didn't. So I don't know what the holdup is on any of this. And you know as much as I do about what we're trying to get in it and some of the other reforms that we want to get in it. We've got the Farm Bill coming up this week. Just pray that we can get that taken care of. That's a 5-year bill. So, you know, we don't want business as usual. We want to fix the things that we've tried to fix for years because we have the trifecta right now. And we're not sure. I heard your comments on on redistricting. And, you know, even though Governor DeSantis is trying to get 4 more seats in Florida, look what they've done in Virginia. And I've got people running scared, and you will have 2 good members that may have to face off and run against each other. And I hate that. I just hate it. You're taking good members out of the House.
And those 2 members, are you referring to the 9th district if this stands, Ben Klein and Morgan Griffith?
Yes, that's
right.
That's 2 good members, yes.
Right. So basically, if this stands, and I really have confidence in the Virginia Supreme Court that this thing is going to get overturned. Now, we're going to have to deal with it in 2028 because if they follow the rules, it's likely to pass again. But if it gets overturned, it's basically just a 2-year delay. So that would stave that off. But as you mentioned, both members of the Freedom Caucus, Ben Klein and Morgan Griffith, Ben Klein in the 6th district right now in Virginia, a rumor has it that he is going to run in the 9th. Now you're going to have a primary battle for the one seat that's remaining. That is going to cost, you know, money. It is a waste of time. Both of them are going to vote the exact same way. So let's hope it doesn't come to that. But that's kind of the dilemma that we have now.
Well, it is. And, you know, I talked to someone last night, and they're not real sure that the Virginia Supreme Court is going to overturn this and say that it's unconstitutional, because some of these judges are up for, you know, renewal. I guess every 12 years you have to vote. So they're thinking, well, you know, if I don't vote to sustain this, then what what I may not get voted back in as a judge. Now, that's not good thinking. That's not the way to do it. You're not supposed to be non-biased, but you have to worry about that as well. Are they going to do that just so they can keep their job and hope they'll get reappointed? I don't know. It's a mess. And you've got, look, I've always said this, John, and you know it because you're running for chairman. It matters who governs in every aspect of every level of government, whether it's local, state, federal. It absolutely matters because you have people who want to just change and we already see this. Eli Crane gave us a book last night. It's called The Islamic Antichrist. And you look at, there's this Sharia Free Caucus now in the House, and some of the things that are unrecognizable in our country when it comes to how some of these cities are governed. And it's scary, and it's, I look at what the Bible says about this. There's just a lot going on in this country, and you've only got a few people standing in the way of just not even recognizing the way our country looks.
FISA, Diana Harshberger with us. I know you're short on time today, but I want to get to the FISA bill. As you know, I'm not a fan of the whole thing. Secret judges, no warrants, the whole thing. It's just been abused, and it'll continue to be abused. How do you stand on that?
Well, I've always said that I don't want Americans being spied on without having a warrant, and that's what we're battling right now. They've strengthened some of the policies, is what we're told. I know that the chairman of Intel, Rick Crawford, there's things that he said that he would like to have incorporated, and I don't know if people would listen to him. At least he got to tell the speaker, and it looks like they've reworded some things. Of course, Freedom Caucus says it's just nothing new. They just, reiterated and changed some of the verbiage in the FISA bill. But we're not going to get a straight-out warrant. But why don't you give us an up-and-down vote on it? And I think maybe they're not going to do that because what the heck? They may be afraid that it'll pass. But, there's some reforms in here. Now, I have not read the FISA court document in the SCIF, which I want to do that this week. It talks about, the FISA court system and the things that are wrong with that. You're right. You have 11 judges, and those people will determine, based on the information they get, that they say under perjury, that it's good information. We know that's not true because of Carter Page and everybody that was spied on and the lies that were done to President Trump. But he wants a clean extension. We're just trying to better this bill because 2 years ago we said we almost had a warrant, and you remember how that turned out. It tied, and when it ties on the floor, it dies. And so we have got to do what we can to keep the government from spying on American citizens without a warrant.
You're 100% right, and thank you for standing tall on that. I know you've come under a lot of criticism, but your spine here is stiffened, and I'm 100% with you here. This FISA secret court thing has been abused. You had people like Rod Rothenstein putting, phony warrants in front of secret judges that signed it. He lied on it. No accountability. People their phones have been spied on. Members of Congress have been spied on. I mean, the whole thing is out of hand, and it's not the Patriot Act. It's the Surveillance Act on Americans is all it is. So you're right on that. Final thing, and we got to go. You're a pharmacist by trade. I'm very intrigued by Trump RX. He came out the other day, got another executive order, had another huge pharmaceutical company cutting prices to give us a lowest favored nation insulin. This is like the best kept secret in America. If you're a diabetic, I'm not. But my friends that are on it are telling me that insulin has gone down from hundreds of dollars a month to $25 or $30 a dose since President Trump has been there. How effective is his jawboning here? Trump RX, is it bringing prices down from the view of a pharmacist that built a huge business locally? Tell us about Trump RX, and is it working?
Well, what the president's doing is trying to make, brand name drugs more affordable for the average everyday American, which is true, because some of these things are priced outrageous, and I've argued about that for 40 years. I've been preaching about this. And how do they even they keep changing the mantle on how you price these drugs too. Is it AWP, which is average wholesale price? Is it WAC? Is it MAC? There's different ways that they will manipulate the system, but I've asked questions. There's some questions from the domestic policy team that I've asked about how does Trump RX work for the average everyday American? How do pharmacies get reimbursed? How much do they pay? I'm still waiting to hear that. And, that came about because of the most favored nations. When Trump negotiated with 16 pharmaceutical companies, hey, this is what I want you to do. Now, I've been in this business my whole life, and I can assure you, they can say they like it, they love it because it's going to help them in Europe, but it's a deeper, it'd take me a whole segment of 30 minutes or more to explain this to you, John, that these drug companies, that is not something they wanted to do, because what it's going to do is if these other countries like Europe have to lower that price, it will force them to go to China to get these drugs, because China, I talked to 3 big CEOs at 3 big drug companies the other day in the Doctors Caucus, and what they all said was, we just returned from China, and it's a fallacy to think that their manufacturing's not up to speed, that they don't have an equivalent to our FDA over there. And the way they're putting these drugs out and the pricing that they're doing, that's why they've launched many more drugs than we have. Do I know they're safe and effective? I don't know that. But what they're saying is, if they can't get into the European market now, it's going to force them to go to China and Europe. And, it's going to leave them here at a stalemate. I'm no fan of big pharma. Don't ever think I am. But whenever you tell somebody you've got to do this, then there's going to be ripple effects throughout, the economic system. We're just trying to see what we can do to make this good and make it stable going forward, because, as well as I do, it doesn't matter what executive order happens, the next president can do away with that, and you have to codify it into law. So I've got questions. I'll be meeting with the domestic policy team again. We just got to figure this out to where it's going to be good. It won't stifle innovation and new cures, because that's what will happen. We want these smaller biotech companies to be able to create drugs that may be for rare, ultra-rare disease. We don't want to stifle that growth, or even with your big companies. We don't want them to crush us either. And, it's a balancing act, and I'm just here to help in any way I can. And right now I'm fighting fine on the peptides to get them to where people can have access to those things without, taking them, Biden put them on a list that we couldn't use the compound. Now, RFK and HHS is saying, hey, we're going to look at these drugs for safety and effectiveness, and they're going to go through a PCAC advisory board. So hopefully we'll be able to access peptides, because that's good for everybody. Right now they're going to the gray market to get those. But like I say, healthcare is a complicated thing, John. And if you've got the time, I've got the bandwidth, and we can do that on another segment. But there's just a lot going on that's not on the forefront right now. You got a war in Iran, you got FISA, you got DHS to fund, you got the Farm Bill coming up. Dang, there's squirrel. You don't know which one to look at and how to fix it. And time's running out, and I know what's going to happen. The Senate's going to send a clean extension over. If we don't do something today or tomorrow about this FISA, and I can't remember when we go back at 9 o'clock tonight to vote, we will, I guess we'll see what happens and whether it passes, the rule passes, and then you go on to vote. My fear is the reforms we've already made. If we can't pass that, the Senate is absolutely going to send a clean FISA. We're not going to get any reforms, and we're done. So, I don't know who the enemy is. Is it the Democrats or sometimes the Senate? You just have to weigh it out.
Who's the enemy? That's basically it. It's incredible, the battle that you're fighting in there. I know you're short on time. I'm going to text you right after this thing to get another segment, because this whole drug thing, nobody understands it. And they talk about Trump RX, but the way you laid it out, it is an entire segment
so that we can put it out there so people can understand. And, to me, they should have come to you first. You were Buddy Carter, because both of you ran pharmacies. You're pharmacists, right? Buddy Carter's busy.
You're right. Yeah.
He's running for U.S. Senate. And by the way, I'm going to put this out there. Carter's going to get in that runoff with Collins, and Carter is going to win that race. Carter is going to be the Georgia Senate nominee. I'm predicting it. I can see it. I can feel it. And I think Carter has a shot to go to the Senate. So you might have one of your pharmacy caucus of two. One of them might end up in the U.S. Senate. Then you're all alone.
Well, hey, divide and conquer, John. You get somebody in both chambers that can push good legislation out. Why wouldn't we do that? Oh my gosh! Look at what Tennessee did with the Senate bill, the Fair RX Act, where they said if you are an insurance company or a PBM, you can't own a pharmacy. CVS, what we know, they spent $7 million against that Senate bill, but it passed overwhelmingly in the Senate and the House, and now it goes to the governor's desk. You got all these states, maybe 39 states, I think, waiting to do the same thing. So the states are going to take it up if we don't fix it.
Oh, you got that. Diana Harshbarger, I want to thank you for being with us and thank you for your time. We're going to have you back on this whole segment that will promote that as well. I'll send you a text afterwards. For more information on Representative Diana Harshbarger, member of the Freedom Caucus, represents District 1, that's East Tennessee, harshbarger.house.gov. Diana, thank you. Thank you for being with us.
Hey, always a pleasure, John. You keep trucking, okay?
All right. Talk soon. Always get the straight. Thank you, Diana. Always get the straight from Diana. And let's get to, I know we're a little late. We're a little late here, but we want to get to our friend from MRC, Joseph Vasquez. Joe, sorry for the wait. Diana was kind of fired up today. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Hey, John, thanks for having me.
I really wanted to get you on today as what's your exact title? Executive editor of MRC?
Maybe one day. I'm the associate editor of business, so I handle all our coverage on economics, finance, campaign finance, George Soros, you name it. That's my beat.
And the MRC is a media research center looking for clarity, truth and clarity in media, which other than me, you don't have. So thanks for coming on my show. Like I'm about it that does this. Let's get to the coverage of the assassination. I know as business is not your bailiwick, but I know you're involved in it there.
Yep.
I mean, the coverage of this thing.
Awful.
Just lay it out for us.
Well, I mean, like the media's been doing everything to obfuscate the truth that the alleged shooter is in fact a leftist. If you just read his manifesto, but if you were watching something like CBS News, they still to even acknowledge the political leanings of the shooter. I mean, but if this person was from the right, they'd have no problem making it out to be, oh look, the right wing violence is on the rise in this country. But anytime it's a leftist or someone from their side, they'll immediately try to pretend like the indicators that show that he is of a certain political bent don't exist. So like we're at the Media Research Center, we're watching this. It's like even with a manifesto out, they're still trying to make it seem like, oh, it's up in the air what the motive is. It's up in the air. Like, you know, where his political leanings are. CBS Evening News didn't even want to even acknowledge the political leanings of this alleged shooter. So I mean, it just goes to show that the media is more concerned about protecting their side of the aisle than they are about telling Americans what actually happened, you know, like regardless of whatever the political outcomes may be. But this is what we've been dealing with since 1987. So that's why we at the Media Research Center, we watch the news so you won't have to. and then we give you the breakdown. But this is just par for the course of what we've been dealing with these broadcast networks and, you know, these online media platforms for years. It just doesn't stop. It's just going to get worse just as time goes on.
Where does the shakeout come?
Well, the shakeout comes. I mean, I think it's already happening because a lot of Americans are starting to get their news and their information around the media wall, whether it be through social media, alternative news platforms as well. Your show, of course, as well. I mean, people are getting access to other forms of information that, and it's really breaking that monopoly that the media have had over the flow of information. Essentially, like before we had this, like for example, if Elon Musk had not spent about $40 billion in order to purchase Twitter, I mean, and other journalists, independent journalists were able to come up and to be able to share information, and the American people can be able to sort out through everything and try to make their own decisions. The media hates this. They hate the fact that they've lost their grip on the narrative because they love the dystopian aspect of it, where they can control the flow of information and they can control how it's presented, and then they can sway public opinion however they want. They've been doing this with the Iran coverage. They're doing it with the assassination attempt at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. They choose any political event and they try to twist it into something that benefits their own side of the aisle. They are not concerned about telling people the news. That's why when I tell you, anytime that a journalist comes on the air, whether it be Matt Gutman or whether it be David Muir, whether it be Brian Stelter for all his obfuscating to the contrary, it doesn't matter what journalist comes in front of me and says, "Oh, we present unbiased news. We're just trying to be a referee of good news." Immediately call BS on that. Immediately, it's almost an instinctive reaction that you should have.
What did you think of the early coverage of the assassination? It was called gun violence. Then it was called then it was called loud noises heard. I mean, it was hours before they actually called this thing an assassination attempt. What was your reaction to that, Joseph?
Oh, I mean, like I had deja vu from when CNN, like after the assassination attempt in Butler,